Well, we should have never given it in the first place, and we shouldn't give any more. Besides, pretty soon it'll be worthless and won't matter much. So the more you give away, create money out of thin air, the more you give away, you may temporarily help some of their friends, but it's just more of the same thing. That's how we got in this trouble, and that's how they're going to keep it going.
A lot of economists are saying we could have total depression within the next year, the real economy over 20% unemployment. All the numbers that I know you're well aware of are really bad. While the mainstream media says this is a great economy because the big banks are making money off the bailout. The dollar's continuing its slide, went up for a little bit, but still overall it's going down. Where do you see us in 2 years, Congressman?
I think we're going to be much poorer as a nation. I think unemployment rates are going to stay very high. I think by 2 years it'll be acknowledged that there was no recovery. I thought there were some very good articles, and I commented on one this past week about Paul Krugman. You know, he analyzed the past 10 years, and he had a good analysis. We're all worse off. The real employment has, real income has not gone up, and investments have not gone up. He did say that you'd be even Steven on your stocks from 10 years ago, but yeah, actually lower. If you take into account the inflation, you're down about 20%. But, of course, he said what we needed was more spending and more regulations, and that would have solved all that problem. But, no, I think it started 10 years ago. I think we started slipping into the recession, depression. I think there's no signs that we have reversed things. They talk themselves into thinking that things are improving. When the dot-com bubble burst, they didn't allow the correction to occur, so they created a housing bubble. Well, they started feeling better. But it didn't solve the problem. Now a lot of people don't have houses.
But you don't believe gold is a bubble?
No, I don't believe that. I think
so that's an inflationary issue.
I think gold reflects, if anything, it's way behind because the bubble is the size of the dollars created. The real bubble, I think, is in the bond market because the price of bonds are so good because the interest rates are so low. But that's just being held together. I think this is what the Fed does in collusion with other central banks is they prop that market up. But
so if
the market will rule. Pardon me?
I'm sorry. So if gold met inflation, what would it be like $2,500 an ounce?
It would be a lot higher. The market, I don't think the market's been allowed to adjust to that yet. I think that's the other thing that an audit might reveal is how much they're involved in the gold market because the governments have always been involved in gold. Even when they had gold 1,000 years ago, the government would, the kings would dilute the metal or clip the coins and do different things. And up in 71. We dumped gold to try to keep gold at $35 an ounce, and that was a joke. And now they
absolutely
they do it a different way now, but they're working very hard. They know that a high price of gold is a vote against paper, and they can't allow the people to question the paper money because their kingdom is finished when the people question it. And they're only beginning to question it. So, if anything, gold is a long way from a bubble. The real bubble is in the size of the currency market, and the value of the dollar is artificially high, and the bonds are artificially high.
Congressman, I totally agree with you. In the last minute and a half we've got left, homeschoolers in California, they ruled a couple years ago that homeschooling's a privilege, that the state owns their children. That got overturned. CBS News reports these people moved to the town, didn't register their kids. It was a civil matter. But the CPS said, yeah, but that's child endangerment. And so they were arrested through color of law. And the school is on television saying they deserve to go to jail. I mean, this is slavery in my view. I mean, if we can't raise our children and be left alone by the state, we might as well be the Soviet Union.
Yeah, this is tyranny, but unfortunately we sold that out a long time ago. When we decided the federal government was involved in education, always, for these good reasons. So once we allowed the government to take charge of it, there's been some up and downs. They tried to really stop homeschooling in the early 80s, and there was some court fights, and we won those. But no, they will never give up on that. They never give up on control of money. They will never give up on the control of the education of the young children. Just think of how they brainwash young children on global warming and some of this radical environmentalism. So that's a big fight, but hopefully it'll backfire on them, and it'll just wake the people up, because there's sure a lot of homeschoolers around these days, and they're very strong on the Constitution. They've learned the Constitution, which they would never have learned in the public schools.
That's right. There's many more homeschoolers now than there were in the 80s. We beat them back then. The message is stand up against this tyranny, and we can turn them around. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you so much for joining us in the new year. Everybody should get your book, In the Fed. Our website's Infowars.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Good to be with you. Bye-bye.
Take care.